Supernatural Season 12, Episode 21, There's Something About Mary. Of course, this is the episode leading into the epic full night 2-hour season finale next week. I figured that, the season finale would be next week because next week is the 18th. They already mentioned, that's probably when Kelly would have the baby. It's like, that's when the, finale is going to be. I just didn't think it was going to be like, here's a super epic, full night event. I feel like they haven't done that on this in general on the CW in a very long time, where it's like an actual the finale is actually 2 hours long. Sometimes they've done specials, but never like an actual 2-hour episode. But I'm very excited for next week's episode. Of course, starting off at the top of this episode, which is very, very unfortunate, but sadly at the beginning of this episode they kill off Eileen, which just really, really freaking sucked. It's like they introduced this character who's pretty freaking cool. I really liked Eileen. They threw in the possibility, they threw in some of those hints with her and Sam, and I was like, I would love to see her survive because, I think her and Sam would be great together. I just really like both the characters. Of course, I like Sam, but I like her character, and I think they work well together, and they seem to show that a little when they, looked at her body. But it was just like they had those moments where it's like they might actually be a couple in the future, and then this episode comes along and they just snatch it right away, like, nope, that's just not gonna happen. So really sucky opening to see them kill off one of the hunters that we know. They reference other hunters that have been killed off in this episode. We see that not only do we get a tragic beginning to this episode, but everything with Mary in this episode is super depressing because she's going through somewhat losing her sanity and then realizing that she is actually living through these moments, but she's being mind controlled. She ends up meeting with this hunter. She ends up killing him, which was such a crazy fluke. Like, he fell on the second bottle of beer that he had, and he falls down, hits his head, and that's how she's able to kill him. And it was just like, wow, that is a fluke of death. And so she has that memory in his head, and there are other hunters I'm sure she's already killed. And then she's used at the end of this episode to trap Sam and Dean, and Bevel, Lady Bevel as well, but I don't care about her. But she's used against her own sons, and it's just crazy. I don't know how in the world they're going to do this. And then we have, of course, Lucifer and Crowley having their kind of bout back and forth. And then in this episode, Lucifer finds out that the power that Crowley was using was actually leaving Crowley and going into Lucifer. So it was basically reversing who was in control. So Lucifer gains control. He's able to move Crowley around and stuff. He breaks free. He taunts Crowley for a minute or two. And then it's like, all right, well, time to kill him. Naturally, he's always able to do that last minute save for himself, and I feel like he was a rat the other time too, but he's able to jump from his body. He goes into this little rat, or it's a mouse I guess, but he goes into the body of this mouse, and Lucifer stabs the body. I guess he wasn't thinking, he was just happy, because I'm like, everyone should know if you stab an angel or you stab a demon, they do the whole, like internal holy light deal, or it's like, and then they die. It's very, very dramatic. But he just pokes him and it's like, alright, and he makes a joke and he drops it, and that's pretty much it. But of course Crowley's coming back. They drag the body off somewhere random, so Crowley's going to jump from this mouse's body back into his body. And of course he'll be working with Sam, Dean, and Cass when we see him in the next episode to take on Lucifer, get rid of him. Odds are the Nephilim will be born. I'm very curious how we are going to end things this season, and what they're leading into. Will they kill off the men of letters? Or, at least the main people that we know of in this episode. We find out early on that Crowley actually has a deal with, like, the headmistress of the men of letters, because it's like, I hope we have the same deal, or we can have the same deal in the States as we do in the UK. And she's like, I don't see why not. No signs at war. No one technically loses. All is good. If anyone's dumb enough to actually sell their souls to you, so be it. But we also need information from you if things get a little crazy. And it was just like, wow, he already has deals with these people that, we didn't even really know too much about until this season, where it was like official, these are the men of letters. And he pops in this episode, is like, hey, what's up, how you doing? Hope we can have the same deal, I'm out of here. And it was just like, wow, he never fails to surprise. He always knows somebody new. So we'll see how that ends up playing out in the next episode. He lends Catch the Hellhound that they used in the beginning. So he's already got his little thing going where he's working with them, where it's like, no big deal. I don't really care about hunters dying. That helps me, actually. So it's just pretty nuts the way this episode kind of went about with allegiances and deaths and people being controlled and people being left behind. Bevel is left with Sam and Dean at the end of the episode. Of course, they have to see their mother being controlled. It was just crazy. It was a very well done episode leading up to a 2-hour season finale, so I'm very excited for next week. But this episode was really good in itself. Depressing in the opening, everything depressing with Mary. They had some great stuff. I love the stuff with Crowley and Lucifer. That was just entertaining. That was funny, especially the part where Lucifer is like 8-ball corner pocket and he just like shoots Crowley into the wall. So that was a funny sequence. Sam and Dean in the car with Belle, where she's like, Ketch said it was like some of the best sex he ever had, and Dean was getting like super pissed off. So they definitely had their funny moments in there, but really crazy. It really sucks that Eileen died in the beginning of this episode. It just really sucked. It was like, man, we get introduced to this character who's really cool, and they kind of play up the possibility that she could end up being with Sam, and it just doesn't end up working out. So that really does suck, the way that all ended up happening. And she realized that she was being kind of followed and stuff. Like, they get the letter and it's like, we thought she was in Ireland, and it was just very good. I was like, I like the way that kind of played out. Even the opening, just cinematically speaking, the opening was great because of course she's deaf, so the way they do it where she can't hear anything and it's just like, they have the ringing tone, I thought that was very well done cinematically. And then of course we have her running, and then the Hellhound is behind her, and unfortunately it ends up getting her. And I was thinking, it's kind of just throwing her around, maybe somebody can come in and help out, no big deal. But it was just whipping her around, and it like basically like broke her neck, I believe. And it was just like, man, that sucks. And then here comes Ketch, and he gives it like a hand, and then that's the opening to the episode. So it was a crazy opening, crazy ending. We'll see what happens with Bevel, and I don't know, her killing Ketch or somebody. There are so many people where I wouldn't mind if they got to do it. I would prefer more than anyone else if it was Mary, of course. But we'll see what happens. We of course have Lucifer coming back, so that's a huge freaking issue. Crowley seems to have his thing where he's kind of an enigma at this point, since him losing control of hell once again. So who knows where he might end up. Cass comes back. Even in the promo, it seems like he's trying to just go head on against Lucifer. So I don't even know what to expect from that. I would assume he's being supercharged, but it didn't look like it. Also, the color seemed interesting. I don't know if that was just me, but I was like, it seemed, color seemed a little off. I'm like, are they in purgatory again, or what's going on? Because it seemed like they were in a totally new location. That could have just been a thing, something random. But I was like, I don't know. Whenever I see it's like kind of gray tone, I think purgatory. I don't know why they would be there, but I don't know. I thought it was very interesting because that's kind of where angels and demons go. Well, some creatures go when they kind of die. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's what we'll get to see. Maybe Dagon is actually alive. She's just trapped in purgatory or something crazy like that. But considering the way she died, I don't think that's going to end up being the case. But we'll see what they end up doing with that. But I am very curious because it seemed like they were in purgatory because it looked different. I was like, I don't know. I feel like they're somewhere else. So if not purgatory, somewhere, or something's happening around them to make it look that way. But I'm very excited for this finale. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And naturally, it's the finale coming up, so I just want to know what you guys want to see from the finale, what your theories are about the finale, who's going to live, who's going to die, who else is going to die. That sucks. But I like to think only the villains are going to get killed off. So Sam, Dean, Cass, Mary, Crowley, they all get to live. I don't care. Bevel can die. I don't know. I mean, assuming everything that Dagon said was true, I guess Kelly couldn't possibly survive unless the Nephilim gave Cass some of its power as the Nephilim was being born, so that he could like super heal Kelly. So that's like the only way she could survive, and I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up happening. So hard to say where kind of her mortality lies as far as the finale, but there are just so many characters and there's just so much craziness happening going into this these last 2 hours. So very excited. I assume they're gonna do the Midnight Letters is dealt with in the first hour, and then the second hour is gonna be Lucifer, because why not save him for last? So I feel like that's really how things might play out, but that's just my theory on it. Like I said, would love to know yours and just what you guys want to see in general for this finale. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.